Have you ever looked at a neighbor's balcony overflowing with lush herbs, plump tomatoes, and vibrant flowers and thought to yourself, why doesn't mine ever look like that? You might have the same pots, similar plants, and maybe even more enthusiasm. Yet somehow your soil seems perpetually soggy, leaves turn yellow too quickly, and your harvest ends up looking, well, less than impressive. You're not alone. Container gardening may appear simple: a pot, some soil, a plant. But beneath that simplicity lie crucial rules. Ignore them, and even the healthiest looking plants can struggle to survive. Tonight, we're going to uncover those hidden rules together. These are the 5 mistakes you absolutely must avoid in container gardening. Mistakes that silently sabotage even the most promising plants. If you've ever wondered why your basil wilts, why your tomatoes stop growing, or why your flowers fade far too quickly, the reasons might surprise you. 1. Using the wrong soil, the silent killer. If container gardening had one hidden villain, it would be poor quality soil. This is one of the easiest mistakes to make, yet it's one of the hardest to notice until the damage is done. You might start with the best intentions, scooping a handful of garden soil, filling a lovely new pot, and planting your favorite seedlings with pride. You water it carefully, pat the soil down, and imagine a thriving, vibrant plant in just a few weeks. But then, nothing. The plant doesn't thrive. Leaves turn yellow from the bottom up, growth slows dramatically, and the once vibrant green fades into dull, sickly hues. Sometimes you even notice tiny flying insects, fungus gnats, hovering near the surface. When you pull the plant out to investigate, a sour, earthy smell greets you, and the roots are brown and mushy instead of crisp, white, and healthy. This is the result of using the wrong soil. Garden soil might seem like an easy solution, but it is not designed for containers. In the ground, soil breathes naturally, drains through layers of sand and rock, and is refreshed constantly by microorganisms. In a pot, however, the same soil becomes suffocatingly dense. It compacts quickly, trapping water and cutting off oxygen to the roots. Without proper airflow, roots drown in their own environment. And once the roots are compromised, the entire plant suffers. The solution? A proper potting mix, not ordinary soil. Quality potting mixes are designed to stay light, fluffy, and alive. They include ingredients like peat moss or cocoa coir, which retain moisture without waterlogging, and perlite, vermiculite, or pumice, which maintain air circulation. Compost adds nutrients and beneficial microorganisms, creating a thriving mini ecosystem for your plant. Think of your pot as a complete ecosystem. The air pockets between soil particles provide oxygen, organic matter delivers food, and water flowing through nourishes the roots. If the soil is dense, your plant literally suffocates. Here's a simple, effective homemade mix for most container plants. 1 part compost supplies long-term nutrition. 1 part cocoa coir or peat moss holds moisture evenly. 1 part perlite or pumice ensures drainage and air circulation. Adjust as needed. Add more perlite for succulents and cacti, or more cocoa coir for thirsty crops like tomatoes. Also, don't underestimate how quickly potting soil loses structure over time. Reusing soil for more than a season can mean old roots, fungal spores, or hidden pests are lurking. Revitalize it by mixing in fresh compost, or better yet, start with a new batch each year for sensitive plants. Remember, soil isn't just a place to anchor roots. It's the foundation of life for your plant. When you get it right, growth becomes immediate. Leaves perk up, roots spread, and plants flourish. The next time you plant, think of the soil first. Everything else depends on it. 2. Overwatering. When kindness becomes harm. Of all the mistakes container gardeners make, overwatering is the most common and the most tragic. The irony? It doesn't come from neglect. It comes from love. You care about your plants. You don't want them to dry out or wilt, so you water them often, perhaps daily, thinking you're helping. But then the bright green basil droops, tomato leaves curl, and the soil, though wet, seems to leave the plant thirsty. You water again, hoping for recovery, and that's when the real damage begins. Under the surface, water fills every air pocket in the pot. Roots, deprived of oxygen, suffocate. Rot begins to set in, fungi flourish, and by the time you notice, it's often too late. Overwatered plants can look identical to thirsty plants: limp stems, yellowing leaves, and stunted growth. In severe cases, the plant collapses almost overnight. Experienced gardeners often say, most plants die from kindness. So how do you avoid this? The secret is not in how often you water, but in how you water. Water deeply and thoroughly when you do water. Let water flow until it drains freely from the pot's bottom holes. Then step back and wait. Allow the top inch of soil to dry before watering again. Check with your finger or a moisture meter. This simple top inch rule keeps roots hydrated but ensures they can breathe. If your container lacks drainage holes, fix it immediately. Water must escape. Drill holes or place your plant in a nursery pot with proper drainage inside your decorative pot. Don't water on a schedule. Sunlight, temperature, and humidity all affect how fast soil dries. Hot, sunny days may require daily watering. Cool, cloudy days only every few days. Let your plants tell you when they need water. In dry climates or heated indoor spaces, leaves may wilt even if the soil is moist, a sign of low humidity, not thirst. Mist lightly or place a tray of water nearby to boost moisture. A layer of gravel at the bottom can prevent soil from clogging drainage holes, but this alone won't fix overwatering. Good potting mix and proper drainage are what truly protect your plants. Always empty excess water from saucers. Standing water invites root rot, mosquitoes, and fungus gnats. Think of watering as a rhythm, a cycle of deep drink and rest. Master this rhythm and your plants respond beautifully. Leaves shine, new growth emerges, and stems grow strong, rather than weak and watery. Remember, water less but water wisely. Roots need oxygen just as much as they need moisture. 3. Choosing the wrong container. How size and material can make or break your garden. Let's be honest, when you first dive into container gardening, it's easy to fall in love with those charming little pots you see online or in stores. They come in every imaginable color, shape, and pattern. You spot a tiny tomato plant in a teacup or a small lemon tree in a decorative bowl and immediately think, this looks perfect. But here's the reality. What looks adorable on Pinterest or Instagram doesn't always translate to real-life gardening success. Plants aren't just decorative objects. They are living organisms that require adequate space to grow, both above and below the soil. When roots don't have enough room, multiple problems arise simultaneously. The roots start to spiral around the interior of the pot, eventually strangling themselves. This condition, known as root bound, prevents the plant from properly absorbing water and nutrients. The consequences? Leaves yellow, growth slows dramatically, and the plant appears weak and droopy no matter how much care you give it. In small containers, water often passes straight through the soil before the roots can absorb it. This leaves the plant struggling to stay hydrated, while nutrients are rapidly washed away, leading to weak, malnourished growth. So how can you avoid this common mistake? The key is matching your container size to the needs of the plant. Herbs and salad greens such as basil, parsley, and lettuce thrive in containers at least 6 or 8 inches deep. Medium-sized crops like tomatoes, peppers, or eggplants require 12 to 18 inches to allow their roots to spread comfortably. Larger plants or dwarf trees, including citrus trees or blueberries, need containers at least 20 inches deep, preferably deeper. A simple rule of thumb: larger pots almost always equal healthier plants. Bigger containers not only give roots more room to expand, but also help regulate moisture and temperature. Smaller pots dry out quickly and heat up faster in the sun, which stresses the roots. Bigger containers retain water longer and protect plants from sudden temperature changes. Now let's consider the material of your container, which is just as important. Terracotta or clay pots. These classic containers are breathable, allowing air to reach the roots. However, they dry out more quickly. Excellent for succulents, but less suitable for water-loving plants. Plastic pots. Lightweight and moisture retentive, they work well in hot climates, or for gardeners prone to forgetting to water. Be cautious in direct sunlight. Dark plastic can overheat and damage roots. Fabric grow bags. Growing in popularity, these allow exceptional air circulation. They naturally air-prune roots, preventing them from circling and encouraging stronger growth. However, they dry out faster, requiring more frequent watering. Wooden planters. A visually appealing natural option that retains moisture well. Opt for rot-resistant woods like cedar and line the planter to extend its lifespan. And here's a non-negotiable detail: drainage. No matter how beautiful your container is, without drainage holes at the bottom, your plant is at serious risk. Excess water will collect at the base, suffocating roots and causing rot. Always ensure water can freely escape. If you want to use a decorative pot without holes, there's a workaround. Treat it as a cache pot by placing a smaller, well-drained pot inside. This gives you both aesthetics and functionality. Think of containers as a home for your plants. Would you want to live in a closet with no windows and no air circulation? Of course not, and neither do your plants. Provide adequate space, airflow, and a suitable container, and your plants will reward you with vibrant growth and healthy yields. The takeaway? The right container isn't just something to hold soil and roots. It supports the plant's entire life system. Bigger containers, breathable materials, and proper drainage are your best friends in container gardening. 4. Ignoring light requirements. The sunlight mistake that can doom your plants. Sunlight is perhaps the most misunderstood element in container gardening. Many gardeners purchase plants, arrange them on a balcony or patio, water them diligently, and wait for results. Some thrive, others wither, and some simply stop growing, often because they are receiving the wrong amount of light. Here's the truth. Not every plant loves the sun in the same way. Like people, some enjoy basking in it all day, while others prefer cooler, shadier conditions. Let's start with the sun lovers. Tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, strawberries, cucumbers, and most fruiting plants need 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight daily. They require full, strong light, not filtered through glass or shade cloth, to convert sunlight into energy for flowering and fruit production. Too little sun leads to fewer flowers, smaller harvests, and less robust growth. Then there are the partial shade plants, which prefer gentler conditions. Lettuce, spinach, arugula, kale, and parsley can struggle under intense sunlight. Excessive heat causes them to bolt, growing tall, flowering prematurely, and turning bitter. These plants thrive best with morning sun and afternoon shade. Orientation matters, especially for balconies and windowsills. South-facing spots receive the most sunlight, ideal for sun-loving plants. East-facing spots get mild morning sun, perfect for leafy greens and herbs. North-facing areas are usually too shaded for most vegetables, but suitable for shade-tolerant plants like mint or ferns. How can you tell if your plants are happy with their light? Leggy stems, tall, thin, weak growth. Not enough light. The plant is stretching toward the sun. Scorched or curled leaves. Too much sun, especially common in delicate greens. Deep green, compact growth. Just right. If your space doesn't provide sufficient sunlight, don't worry. Modern technology can help. LED grow lights mimic natural sunlight, allowing you to grow vegetables even in shaded balconies or indoors. They are energy efficient and often come with timers, so you can provide 12-16 hours of light per day. Remember, sunlight changes with the seasons. A corner that is sunny in spring may be shaded by midsummer when trees leaf out, or when the sun's position shifts. Be willing to move your containers periodically to follow the light. Pro tip: reflective surfaces like mirrors, white walls, or even aluminum foil can help brighten darker areas, especially useful for indoor or small balcony gardens. The key lesson: sunlight is food for your plants. You can water, fertilize, and care for them perfectly, but without adequate light, none of it will matter. By understanding and respecting each plant's sunlight needs, providing shade to those that need rest and full exposure to those that thrive in the sun, your container garden can transform from struggling to flourishing. At the end of the day, gardening isn't just about planting. It's about understanding how your plants live, grow, and eat through light. 5. Forgetting to feed. The silent starvation that slowly destroys your plants. One of the most commonly overlooked, yet quietly devastating, mistakes in container gardening is failing to feed your plants. You may water diligently, ensure they receive the right amount of light, and even talk to them. Many gardeners do. But if you neglect to provide nutrients, your plants are slowly starving without you even realizing it. Here's the key point. Plants growing in the ground have the freedom to stretch their roots deep and wide, exploring the soil in search of nutrients. They benefit from a dynamic underground ecosystem, teeming with worms, microbes, and decomposing organic matter, constantly replenishing their food supply. In containers, however, none of that natural replenishment exists. Your plants are entirely confined within the walls of their pot, and every bit of nutrition they receive must come from you. At first, everything seems fine. You plant in fresh potting mix, water carefully, and watch lush green growth emerge. But what many beginners fail to realize is that most nutrients in the potting soil only last a few weeks. Each time you water, tiny amounts of essential minerals wash away through the drainage holes. After a month or so, the soil becomes depleted, dry, stripped of nutrients, and incapable of supporting your plant's needs. That's when the trouble begins. Leaves lose their vibrant green color, often turning pale or yellow. Growth slows almost to a halt. Flowers fail to develop. The plant looks tired and weak no matter how much care you give it. Many gardeners mistake these symptoms for overwatering or insufficient sunlight, when the real problem is much simpler. The plant is hungry. So, how can you provide the proper nutrition? Start before planting. When filling your pots, incorporate compost or a slow-release fertilizer into the potting mix. Slow-release fertilizers come as coated granules that dissolve gradually over time, supplying a steady stream of nutrients for several months. This ensures that your plants have a consistent foundation for growth right from the start. But that's just the beginning. As your plants grow, so do their nutritional needs, particularly for fruiting and flowering crops such as tomatoes, peppers, and strawberries. To meet these increasing demands, supplement with a liquid fertilizer every 2 to 3 weeks. For general growth, a balanced fertilizer, even such as 10-10-10 or 20-20-20, works perfectly. These numbers represent nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in equal proportions. Think of this as a complete meal for your plants. Nitrogen supports leaf growth, phosphorus strengthens roots and encourages blooms, and potassium improves overall plant health and resilience to disease. Once flowering and fruiting begin, shift to a bloom-boosting fertilizer that is higher in phosphorus and potassium. This encourages abundant blossoms and ensures fruit matures fully, rather than promoting excessive leaf growth. If you prefer organic methods, which many container gardeners do, there are excellent natural options. Worm castings, slow release and gentle, these enhance soil structure and stimulate beneficial microbial activity. Compost tea, a nutrient-rich liquid brewed from compost, packed with trace minerals and helpful bacteria that give plants a quick growth boost. Banana peel water, full of potassium and a small amount of phosphorus, ideal for tomatoes, peppers, and flowering plants. Fish emulsion or seaweed extract, all-purpose fertilizers that strengthen plants safely without burning delicate roots. Even with the best fertilization strategy, it's important to observe the signals your plants are sending. They communicate their needs if you know what to look for. Pale or yellow leaves indicate a nitrogen deficiency, which affects chlorophyll production. Poor flowering or fruiting, often a sign of phosphorus shortage. Weak stems or dull leaf color may indicate a lack of potassium. Brown leaf tips or stunted growth could result from salt accumulation due to over-fertilization. When it comes to feeding, consistency is more important than intensity. Avoid dumping a large amount of fertilizer all at once. This can burn roots and harm the plant. Instead, feed lightly but regularly, maintaining a steady nutrient supply without overwhelming the plant. Think of fertilizer as fuel. Just as you wouldn't fill your car once and expect it to run for months, your plants need regular nourishment to keep thriving. Every leaf, stem, and fruit is the result of nutrients transformed into growth. Without consistent feeding, even a seemingly healthy plant will eventually decline. To achieve thriving, productive container plants, feeding is not optional. It is essential. Combine slow-release fertilizers at planting, regular liquid feeding throughout the season, and occasional organic boosts, and your garden will remain lush, vigorous, and abundant. In short, don't just water your plants, feed them as well. In container gardening, you are not merely a caretaker, you are the plant's entire ecosystem.